So when you think about Dutch foods and cuisine, you might think of cheese, stroopwafels, croquette, and maybe even stamppot, but you might not think of bami, which is not strange at all because bami is a Chinese Indonesian dish. But over the years, the Bami Schijf has become one of the most popular Dutch snacks. And a Bami Schijf is a piece of bami which is breaded and deep fried. It is basically a croquette with a noodle filling. But how did this Chinese Indonesian bami dish become so popular in the Netherlands? And how do you actually make one? Well, you're going to find out in this video. Bami or bakmi is a wheat-based noodle which originated from China. It was brought to Southeast Asia by Chinese immigrants. But to understand how this dish made it into Dutch cuisine, we cannot skip over the colonization by the Dutch of Dutch East Indies, which is current-day Indonesia. The first Dutch trade ships arrived in 1596, initially to trade spices. However, from that time till 1945, that's the time when Indonesia gained its independence, there is a lot that happened. If you would like to know more about the influence of colonization on the Dutch but also on the Indonesian cuisine, I've included some links to helpful articles in the description box down below. While the Dutch were in East Indies, they employed local domestic workers as cooks, and in this way they were introduced to the Indonesian cuisine. But as you can imagine, the Indonesian cuisine and the Dutch cuisine are quite far apart. So in order to overcome these differences, the Indonesian dishes were modified to suit the European palate, and at the same time Dutch foods like poffertjes, cheese, and pannenkoeken were introduced. And all of this led to the Indo cuisine, which is a fusion of the Indonesian and Dutch cuisine, but it also has Portuguese, Spanish, and British influences. After the fall of the colony, the cuisine of the Dutch East Indies was spread more widely in the Netherlands. Indonesian European dishes even ended up in well-known magazines of the time, and at the same time there was an uprising in Chinese restaurants which were started by Chinese immigrants. It was not only bami that was adjusted to the European taste. There were also dishes like nasi, satay, lumpia, and sambal. When we look at other Dutch snacks such as cassoufflés and frikandellen, we know who the originators were. However, with this snack, it is not exactly clear who came up with it. The first mention of a bami croquette that I could find dates from 1955 from an article in a Dutch East Indies newspaper, and it was written by writer and Indo-intellectual Charlie Robinson. And in the article, he said, "Bami is not eaten much here, although everyone knows what it is. But Holland is much more into balls, such as meatballs and bitterballen. How do you get rid of a surplus of bami? Turn them into balls, wrap them in breadcrumbs, and throw them in a pan between the sausages and croquettes. There's your bami bowl." So as with other Dutch snacks that I discussed in this mini-series, the Bami Schijf came about as a way to reuse food. And over time it did grow in popularity. And from the 70s it started to be mass-produced and sold in supermarkets. So it's quite easy to get your hands on some of these snacks here in the Netherlands. If you're outside of the country, it might be a bit harder, but it is very easy to make at home. And I'm going to share with you how you can make your own Bami Schijven at home.
To make these snacks at home, you will need breadcrumbs, an egg, flour, butter, curry spices, cloves, salt, coconut oil, sweet soy sauce, fish sauce, garlic, pearl parsley, chili flakes, bouillon cube, an onion, cumin, ginger, vegetables, and bami noodles. Start with cooking the noodles according to its instructions. In the meantime, cut the onions, mince the garlic, mince the ginger, and cut the parsley. Heat coconut oil in a pan over medium heat and cook the onions until they're golden brown. Add the minced ginger and garlic and cook it along for a couple of minutes. Now add the soy sauces, bouillon cube, curry spices, and the rest of the spices. Mix it and cook it for about 2 minutes to release the aromas before adding water to create a sauce. Now it's time to add the veggies. Mix it with the sauce, and if you have a lid, put it on the pot to allow the vegetables to steam. And if needed, add a little bit more water to create a sauce. Add the bami and mix it with the vegetables. And that is it for the bami. But to make the Bami Schijf, we'll need to make a sauce, and we'll start by melting butter and gradually add flour to it. After adding all the flour, gradually add vegetable stock. I simply made it by dissolving bouillon powder in hot water. Turn off the heat and add the curry powder. Give it a mix. And add the chopped parsley. Now combine the noodles with the sauce. Transfer the noodles into a dish and refrigerate it for at least 8 hours or overnight to make it set. And this is how it looked like the next day. Cut it into the size that you want your final product to be. And prep the breadcrumbs, flour, and eggs for the next step. Roll the bami disc in flour, then in whisked eggs, and finally in the breadcrumbs. Just to make sure it doesn't burst open while frying, you can choose to double bread it. Repeat this step for all the bami discs, and once they are breaded, they can be frozen to be fried at a later point. But if you want to fry them right away, fry it over a medium heat of 175 Celsius until they're golden brown. And there you have it.
Hey there, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to check out the other 3 videos in this series about Dutch snacks. If you like it, let me know in the comment section down below what you like about this series. And of course, subscribe for more videos. Thanks for watching, guys.